My daughter put me in a retirement home after I retired. I sent her a letter and a will. Have you ever believed that if you gave all your love, you'd get it back in equal measure? Sometimes, the person you love most gives you a cold slap instead. My name is Clara Evans, 64 years old, and I'm still haunted by a phone call from my daughter. Lily. One evening, I just brewed a cup of coffee and sat in my cozy kitchen. The same place where I'd made countless dinners for Lily since she was a little girl. After 28 years of grueling work at a warehouse, I'd finally retired. My dream was simple: move to the city to be near Lily. Just seeing her happy each day was all I wanted. I had it planned out: sell my house, rent a small apartment near Lily's place, and spend my later years with family. I imagined us strolling through parks, sharing tea, or chatting about old times, like we used to. But then the phone rang, and my world seemed to fall apart. Lily's name lit up the screen, and my heart jumped. She hadn't called in weeks, so I thought maybe she missed me or wanted me to visit. I answered, my voice bright. "Lily, sweetheart, how are you?" Her voice was flat, no trace of warmth. "Mom, we need to talk. It's serious." I sank into a chair, coffee cup in hand, a sinking feeling in my gut. Something was wrong. Lily didn't waste time. "Mom, you're getting older. That big house isn't safe for you anymore. What if you trip or get sick? You don't have insurance for emergencies. I've signed you up for a retirement home in town. Someone's coming next Tuesday to help you pack." I froze. Her words rang in my ears, sharp and commanding. My hand shook, but I kept my voice steady. "Lily, I was going to move near you in the city. I don't need a retirement home. I'm still fine on my own." She cut me off, her tone sharper. "Mom, this is best for both of us. You can't live alone forever. It's all arranged." I wanted to ask why she didn't talk to me first, but the words stuck in my throat. All I heard was Lily's sigh, like she was annoyed at having to explain. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, as she talked about how keeping the house was impractical now that I was old and alone. She spoke like I was a piece of clutter to be cleared away. Forgotten. I didn't argue. I didn't want to burden her. For years, I'd sacrificed everything, always putting Lily first. She'd had it hard, losing her dad so young. My husband, Tom, died 18 years ago. I raised Lily alone, working late shifts at the warehouse, my back aching from lifting crates, just so she could afford college, nice shoes, and never feel less than her friends. I remembered nights when Lily cried for her dad. I hid my own grief, hugged her tight, sang soft songs, and promised her everything would be okay. I did it all for her. And now she was telling me to go to a retirement home. Like I was just a problem. The call ended fast. "I'll check in later. Mom, start packing," Lily said, then hung up. I don't know how long I sat in the kitchen, the coffee cold. I looked around. The oak table Tom carved by hand. The shelves Lily and I painted blue when she was 8. Every corner of this house held memories. My hard work, my tears. But Lily didn't see that. To her, this house was just something to sell, and I was a task to handle quickly. I stood, my legs heavy, and walked to the living room mantel. There was our family photo, me, Tom, and Lily at 4, laughing at a beach. I touched the frame, my fingers on Lily's face. She used to be my everything. I remembered her tiny hands around my neck, whispering, "Mommy, you're my best friend." Now, those words felt like a cruel trick. What had changed? Had I failed her somehow? Was I not enough for her to want me around? Since Tom's death, my hands had grown rough, my knees weaker from work. But seeing Lily's diplomas and photos on the wall always filled me with pride and strength. Knowing I'd given her a good life kept me going. I sank onto the couch, staring at pictures of the person I loved most, the one I'd given my life for, who now turned away from me. I told myself to be strong. I didn't want her to worry. If she thought a retirement home was best, I'd go along. I started thinking about packing, what to take, what to leave, but that call kept replaying. Lily's cold voice choked me, calling me old, dismissing this house, her childhood home, the place filled with love and joy, like it meant nothing. I used to think her happiness was all that mattered, no matter how I lived. And what did I get? A one-way trip to a retirement home. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I thought of Tom, our young days as a happy family. He always said I was the toughest person he knew. But that night, I didn't feel tough. I felt like an old tree, left to rot. I held the family photo, whispering to Tom, though he couldn't hear. Did I mess up? Love? Why is she doing this? No answers came, but one thing was clear. That call changed everything. It stole my dream of being near my daughter. It took a piece of my heart. I didn't know how to face the days ahead, but I knew I had to keep moving forward. Because that's what I always did. Keep moving, even with a broken heart. The following Tuesday, a worker from the retirement home came to help pack my few things. I took some clothes, a couple of books, and the family photo of me, Tom, and Lily. The house, full of memories, felt like an empty shell. I didn't look back as the car drove away. I was afraid I'd lose the strength to go on. The retirement home was on the edge of town, a plain building with tidy gardens. They showed me a small room with a bed, a desk, and a window facing a courtyard. I unpacked, setting the family photo on the desk, but each glance at it stung my chest. Lily hadn't called, even after 2 weeks since that call. I told myself she was busy, but deep down, I knew she didn't want to reach out. Life at the retirement home started slowly. Every day was the same. Mornings, I ate breakfast in the dining hall, cereal or toast with jam. Then came activities, cards, old movies, or someone sharing stories. I tried to join in, tried to smile when Edith, a new friend, talked about her kids, but honestly, I felt out of place. I often sat alone, staring at my phone, hoping for a text or call from Lily. The screen stayed blank. I couldn't blame anyone. The staff were kind, the nurses caring, but every night in bed, I felt so alone. I missed my kitchen, Lily's giggles from childhood, the evenings Tom and I planned our future on the couch. Now, it was all just memories. I wondered if I had any worth left. I'd spent my life caring for Lily, giving up everything, and here I was, alone in a strange room. Then I met Sophie. She was a nurse at the home, young, with her hair in a neat braid and a bright smile. The first time she brought me hot cocoa, I was sitting by the window, lost in thought. "Mrs. Clara, this'll warm you up," she said, setting the mug down. I was surprised. She used my first name. Unlike others here, I thanked her but stayed quiet. I wasn't used to chatting with strangers anymore. But Sophie didn't give up. She stopped by often, sometimes with a cookie, sometimes asking about my life before the home. One evening, she stayed longer. "You know, I used to visit your house," she said, her face lighting up. I was confused, not sure what she meant. She explained she'd been friends with Lily in middle school. She remembered my kitchen, the oatmeal cookies I baked for them. Lily used to brag her mom made the best cookies around. Sophie laughed. A warmth spread through me. But it faded fast, replaced by pain. The Lily from those days. Proud of me. Where was she now? Sophie shared more memories, how she and Lily would hang out in my living room, playing music, dreaming big. She said she knew me the moment she saw me here. Despite the years, "You look the same, just with silver hair," she teased. I managed a small smile. My first real one since arriving. But talking about Lily reminded me she hadn't called, hadn't visited, hadn't cared. Sophie seemed to sense it. She didn't push me to talk about Lily. Instead, chatting about her nursing job. Why she loved it. "I like being around real people," she said. Her words were simple but touched me. I took her hand. "You're the first person who's made me feel like I matter here," I said, my voice shaky. I looked away, hiding the tears in my eyes. I didn't want to cry, didn't want to seem frail. But Sophie made me feel seen. I thought of Lily, how she'd pulled away, not just in distance but in heart. "You're lucky, Sophie," I said quietly. "You know what you want and live for it." Me, I just wanted to be near my daughter. Maybe that's something I'll never have. In the days after, Sophie became a light in my life. She brought cocoa often, sometimes a book to read together. I opened up, sharing stories about Tom, my warehouse years, how I fought to give Lily a good life. Sophie listened, never judging, always kind. She reminded me I'd once been strong, a mom who'd do anything for her child. But even with Sophie's warmth, I couldn't stop thinking about Lily. Every phone buzz made me jump, hoping it was her, but it was just spam or a bill reminder. I kept the family photo on my desk, but each look brought the same questions. Did she miss me? Did she remember what I did for her? Or was I just an old lady to be tucked away? Out of her way? 3 months passed since I moved to the retirement home, and Lily still hadn't called. I kept waiting, kept hoping. Sophie, the young nurse, was my only friend here. But no matter how kind she was, an emptiness lingered inside me. You might think I'd hit bottom then. But no, not until I learned Lily didn't even see me as family anymore. One afternoon, Sophie came to my room, phone in hand, her face uneasy. "Mrs. Clara, I need to show you something," she said, like she feared upsetting me. I was in my chair, holding the cold cocoa she'd brought earlier. I looked at her, curious. Sophie held out her phone. The screen showed a photo. It was Lily, my daughter, smiling wide, holding up a hand with a shiny engagement ring. Next to her stood a stranger, a young man in a sharp suit. The caption read, "New chapter begins." I stared, my heart stopping. Lily was getting married, and I, her mother, had no clue. I gripped the mug, trying to steady my hand. "Sophie, where'd you get this?" I asked, voice rough. Sophie sighed, sitting beside me. "I saw it on Lily's Instagram. We still follow each other, but we don't talk much." She said Lily was thriving in the city, planning to marry a wealthy businessman. The wedding was 2 weeks away. I listened, numb, like I was floating outside myself. Not only had she not called or visited, but she hadn't told me about one of the biggest moments of her life. It felt like a punch to the face. I stared at the photo, at Lily's smile. She looked happy, but that smile wasn't for me. She was getting married, and I learned through Instagram on someone else's phone. Sophie touched my shoulder, voice soft. "Mrs. Clara, you okay?" I didn't answer right away. A sharp pain burned in my chest, like my heart was being crushed. "I need to call her. Can I use your phone?" I whispered. Sophie nodded and handed it over. I didn't want to use mine. I figured Lily wouldn't answer if she saw my number. I dialed, hands shaking so much I nearly dropped the phone. It rang forever before she picked up. Lily's voice was sharp, irritated. "Who's this? Why are you calling now?" I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Lily, it's Mom. I saw your post. You're getting married? Why didn't you tell me?" I waited, hoping for an apology, an explanation, anything to show I was still her mother. But Lily's voice was like ice. "Mom, you're old, retired. You're not part of my life anymore. Dad's gone. I don't want to explain a mom in a retirement home to my fiancé's family." I froze, her words sinking in. She went on, like reading a script. "If you want to come to the wedding, fine. Sit in the back and leave early. Oh, and if you care about me, send your pension money. Think of it as my wedding gift. You don't need it in the home anyway." I couldn't speak. Her words were knives, twisting deeper with every word. I'd raised her, given my whole life for her. And now she called me useless. She wanted me to hide at her wedding and give her my last cents. I clutched the phone, but I didn't cry. I wouldn't let her hear me break. "I understand," I said, voice empty. Then I hung up. Sophie was still there, eyes wet. She must have heard it all. "Mrs. Clara," she started, but I raised a hand. "Don't, Sophie, don't say anything." I stood, walked to the desk, and looked at the family photo. The Lily in the picture, the giggling 4-year-old, was a stranger now. I didn't know her anymore. I didn't know myself, the mom who'd done everything for her happiness. Only to hear those words. I sat on the bed, hand on my chest. Sophie came over, wrapping her arms around me. I didn't push her away, but I didn't cry. I felt hollow, like part of me had vanished. "I've lost her," I whispered, more to myself. Sophie held my shoulder tight, saying nothing, knowing no words could heal this. The next morning, I woke with a strange calm. Lily's words still burned, but they lit something else, a spark of defiance. I'd spent my life giving her everything, but I wouldn't let her take my dignity. I called my old friend, Margaret, a lawyer from my warehouse days. I told her about the house, how I'd planned to sell it for Lily's sake. "No more," I said. "I want to keep it, or sell it and use the money for me." Margaret was blunt. "Clara, if Lily fights this, it could get messy. Let her try," I said. "She's taken enough." Margaret helped me set up a trust for the house, ensuring Lily couldn't touch it. I didn't tell Lily. Let her find out when she needed something from me. Then I started small, rebuilding myself. Sophie encouraged me to join more activities at the home. I tried painting, something I'd loved as a kid but gave up for work. My hands shook at first, But each brushstroke felt like reclaiming a piece of me. I made friends, Edith, who loved telling jokes, and Frank, who taught me chess. They didn't replace Lily, but they filled the quiet. One day, Sophie brought a flyer for a community art show. "You should enter, Mrs. Clara," she said. "Your paintings are amazing." I laughed, but she was serious. I submitted a small canvas, a sunset over the beach where Tom, Lily, and I once laughed. It won second place. At the show, I stood by my painting, feeling a pride I hadn't known in years. Sophie clapped loudest, her smile wide. I realized I didn't need Lily's approval to matter. Months later, I got a letter from Lily. No call, no visit, just words on paper. She wrote that the wedding was perfect, that her new life was busy. She didn't ask about me, just mentioned she'd heard about the house trust. "Could we talk about it?" she wrote. I set the letter down, untouched by her words. I didn't reply. Lily had chosen her path, and I was finding mine. I kept painting, kept laughing with Edith and Frank, kept sipping cocoa with Sophie. The family photo stayed on my desk, but it didn't hurt as much. It was a memory, not my future. One evening, Sophie sat with me, reading a book aloud. I looked at her, this young woman who'd given me hope. "Thank you, Sophie," I said, "for seeing me." She smiled. "Mrs. Clara, you're the strongest person I know." For the first time in years, I believed it.